Alright, I'm out here at Old City Cemetery. I'm trying to be fast because I got a lot to talk about. It's really weird doing this, talking to a phone in a Old City Cemetery. I come here a lot. It's probably Tallahassee's most famous historic cemetery. It definitely is. It's the oldest public burial ground in the city of Tallahassee. It's also the location of probably the most famous allegedly haunted location in Tallahassee. And that is this right here, the grave of Elizabeth Budd Graham. She died in 1889 at a young age. I believe she was in her early 20s. But the reason why it's allegedly haunted is because she is rumored to have been a witch. I'm not sure how true that is. I was told by an old timer here that she was a good witch who made potions or something like that. So what that makes me think is that she probably just made like some tonics or like shampoo or something even, and then people thought that was weird back in the 1880s, and so they probably thought she was a witch. If that even, it could just be a rumor. But anyways, moving on. There's so much to talk about here, but I'm gonna try to limit it to 11 of the ones that I can actually talk about. I was gonna wait to do a video for the cemetery because there are people who know a lot more about it than I do, but I realized I actually know more than 15 minutes worth, and so it's gonna take me a little while to actually even explain that stuff. But these are the Confederate graves of Confederate soldiers who fought for the Confederate States of America during the American Civil War. Many of them are unmarked. One thing that I would like to note about this is that many of these graves, several I should say, are new. Either the headstones have been replaced or people have been located and headstones have been placed for them. There's two newer ones over there that have been placed recently. And then, the most significant to me are these back here, still in the Confederate grave section. You can see these newer headstones. All of these are within the past, I want to say 5 years, but absolutely for sure within the past 10 years. But they were identified, located by the Sons of Confederate Veterans, and these nice fancy headstones were placed. I do think this is very important to do because this is very significant to local history. I know this is probably really expensive. I don't know if they need these expensive headstones, but I would also like to say that nobody does this for the Union graves on the other side, which we'll go see, but I wish they would. But it is, like, you can see that 3 of these graves here, Elijah Trippitt, John Ellis, and John Grubbs, were killed at the Battle of Natural Bridge, which is the battle that took place in 1865 on March 6th between the Union and Confederacy in Woodville here in Leon County. I want to say these 3 in the back are even, like, I don't know. I don't want to say that, but I feel like every time I come here, it feels like there's more of these. But they definitely work hard on that. And it's a shame that it's only done for the Confederate graves. I wish somebody would, like, there would be a club for people to restore Union graves as well. But the cemetery is divided between the east half and the west half. The east half is the white section and the west half is the black section, or what was the black section, I should say. But that's where most of the African American people are buried, and that's where we're walking to now. Right now I'm on the southern side of the cemetery and about approaching what would be the east-west line, like the dividing line is probably right here, like this magnolia tree, gorgeous tree. It's just a gorgeous cemetery. I'm not talking much about that just because I'm trying to be quick with the actual information. But it's just absolutely stunning to think how old some of these trees are you can go and see many old pictures of this cemetery. And it was horribly run down, not run down, but overgrown. It fell into disrepair, I should say, towards the, after the 1950s. I don't know why I said 1950s. I just know that like in the 70s and 80s it was pretty bad, and that's when somebody stepped up and started restoring it. A lot of this was overgrown, I believe, but so, oh, this was the next thing. This is the grave of R. Frank Nims, who was a local black educator in the early to mid 20th century here in Tallahassee. He was the principal of the Lincoln Academy, which was the black high school before segregation ended. And he died in 1958, I believe, unexpectedly. But apparently he was just a really good guy. They didn't have any kids, him and his wife. But his father, John, either his father or his father's mother were white. There's another Nims plot on the white side of the cemetery that I haven't seen yet. I'm not sure where it is, but and then his mother, Louise, is that's how this plot came into the family. Her grandfather is over there, William Ford. I'm sorry, not her grandfather, it's her father. And her father, and then is R. Frank Nims' grandfather is William Ford. But he fought in the Civil War. He was in the 2nd United States Colored Infantry, and what's interesting about that is the several regiments from the 2nd United States Colored Infantry fought at the Battle of Natural Bridge, but not Company D, which was the regiment, the company that Henry Ford was enlisted in. But there's actually the house that was the childhood home of R. Frank Nims, I believe, and I think it was the house was built by his parents. I'm not sure if the lot was owned by his grandfather or what, and then passed on, but the house is still standing. It's now a bookstore, common ground bookstore, over on, I believe, 128 Bronough Street, or however you say it, I'm not sure. But these are the Union graves of the Union soldiers. Many are unknown and simply marked U.S. soldier. And then some are not unknown. Some are actually marked, obviously. But this was probably an officer. I say that, but I don't know that. But you can see he died after the war. I think most of the unknown ones probably came from Battle of Lusty or Natural Bridge, or other people who were wounded and then brought here. I know that's a lot of the Confederate graves that are unmarked are people who were sick, because there were not very many Confederate casualties at the Battle of Natural Bridge, and like the 3 that we saw, that was it. And so where was I going with that? Oh, but most of them died from sickness. Like they were here, probably deployed nearby or whatever, and then got sick, so they came here for treatment. And that was, and then they died, so they buried them out there. My understanding is there's still many that are unmarked of the Confederate graves, and I assume it's the same for the Union graves, because I believe a lot of these U.S. soldiers, ones that say U.S. soldier, were probably wooden headstones, and then I assume they were replaced after the war during Reconstruction. And you can see a lot of these, like you'll see the 7th U.S. Infantry and 7th U.S. Infantry. That was a sergeant. They died after the war. You can see from 1866 through 1868. I think that might be the latest one, but that was during Reconstruction. They were, the 7th U.S. Infantry was part of the occupying force in Tallahassee after the war ended. So that's why they're buried there. I'm gonna now walk over to the northern half of the cemetery. There's not as many as I would think, but there are some examples of depressions here. I'm not sure why there aren't as many as I would think, because I'm sure a lot of these people did not have, were not preserved when they died, and so probably weren't buried in nice caskets either. So you would think there'd be a depression. But anyways, this is the grave of John G. Riley. He was, I'm not sure. I don't know much about him. But I know there's an elementary school named after him. I think he was a professor. Yeah, it says professor. But he was a local black figure as well. His house, actually, his house is still standing, and it's a museum that I have yet to check out. I probably should have done that before I made this video, but there's one thing I want to see over here. Oh, it's right here. So this is something that I find really cool. One of my favorite things to see at cemeteries is how nature kind of takes things back. And here you can see this. It's one of the metal gravestones that you can see a lot of these in the black section. These aluminum or iron, maybe, I don't know, really, probably cast iron headstones. And whatever was written on them has fallen off or rusted off or whatever. But you can see this one was put here. Somebody's obviously buried here. And this tree, I don't know what kind of tree this is. Maybe I don't want to guess. But this is the tree, like, lifted it up. Like, you can see it's grown like into the tombstone. And then over here there's one where, oh crap, there's 12 minutes left. All right, or 3 minutes left. Over there, one kind of grew into the side of one. But I'm gonna, maybe I can just make 2 parts, because I don't want to rush. But then the second video probably just won't be very long, because this tree is just magnificent. This is a live oak, and you think this, I mean, the cemetery was established, I believe the oldest grave here is from 1829. And I imagine this tree was there then. And it's just crazy to think all the people who have come here with all those emotions, and this tree has stood over them the whole time. But I don't know that. It'd be cool to have it aged though. I mean, it looks pretty old. I know these trees, like there's one in Thomasville that's like supposed to be 1,000 years old or something crazy. But I can catch my breath now. I was trying to walk so fast and talk so fast. This is the other tree growing a growing with a headstone sticking out of it. You can see it just kind of shoots out of the side. It kind of spurted off in that direction, but that one over there is really interesting because it, like, you can see the tree is split in half because of the headstone, and it lifts it. I mean, it's at least like 2 feet off the air, I think, or off the ground, which is just wild to me. It's probably my second favorite example of trees making up presence in cemeteries, like after the fact. I mean, that's a horrible way to describe it. Like, my favorite example of trees taking back a cemetery, I should say, but my first favorite example would be when one eats a fence, and we'll look at that in a second. But now I'm back on the white side of the cemetery, the eastern side.